All right, folks. Well, here we are. It is week 4 of MaREC Madness. I have the best freaking job in the world, and this week I am joined again by the one and only Taylor Moss in the booth. We are going to go through the final 4 matches, and then we also have a best 2 out of 3 finale tonight. This is the last week of MaREC Madness in 2026. Taylor Moss, how you feeling? This is pretty exciting, man.
This is great. It MaREC or March, as some people call it, always goes
Some people.
quick. It may feel like it just started because we just had the NCAA men's basketball version of this kickoff and women's basketball version of this, but we've been going
Yep.
all MaREC long. This is week number 4 for us, and we've got 4, maybe 5 matches to play tonight, going from a Final Four to the next champion of MaREC Madness will be crowned tonight. So exciting times. I'm ready for it.
I'm all a tingle. I'm all a tingle with anticipation. Taylor, folks, mo most folks know, but man, MaREC Madness is really your brainchild. This is your baby. You've been very active coming up with the idea, sort of producing the event, lining up the matches, that kind of stuff. This is our 6th year doing this. Do you have any
Crazy.
sort of like, how does it feel doing it after 6? How does it feel reaching this ultimate poker stage as a Rec Poker member too? It's pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, it's great. I remember when we first came up with the idea 6 years ago, it was at the height of the like poker feuds going on of I say this, you say this, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's battle heads up to determine who's the better of us two. Um, and people gambling and betting on who was going to win the heads up match and by how much, different things. And it was getting close to springtime, and I was like, hey, you know what's really cool is that March Madness thing of, a bracket playing out. And well, heads up is kind of like that. We could take all that we're doing, apply it to a heads up bracket, and test it out. And it was a great idea from the start, but kind of had some flaws of like, well, if you just have cards down and you're watching people play, it's not as exciting. Is there a way that we can figure out how to get those cards to be shown? And yeah, we found a way. We've been implementing that strategy for 6 years now, and it's been quite a bit of a success. We've had some great times going through this. We had some great Twitter videos at one point with contestants smack talking each other. We've had some great competitors join us to play in this. Even one Matt Matros, WSOP bracelet, who joined us this year and is in the Final Four. But we had Kale Cleaton, we had Joe, I'm blanking on his name, Ingram join
Oh
us.
yeah, Joey, yeah, Pappy, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had some cool people play in MaREC Madness and compete for that ultimate title of MaREC Madness Champion. It's been a great 6 years, and I'm looking forward to 6 more.
Aha, I love that. Yeah. And a big shout out to Poker Now, the platform that we use to record this stuff and to have the cards up. It's a fantastic free platform. I hope everyone goes and checks that out. And we got to shout out some fantastic folks like Darrow Carney, Veronica Brill, Fox Wallace, and some other great men and women that have joined us in the booth as well for some of these experiences. I know I've really had a great time over the years, kind of getting more experience with the commentary and getting to share the booth with yourself and some of these really fantastic people. So yeah, very excited for this again, folks. We're going to get the first match started in just a moment, but if folks don't know, again, this starts the 16-player bracket, and you can win your way in by a series of quarterly qualifiers in June, September, and December. So keep your eye on the calendar for those. And of course, I think we've started a new like green jacket policy where previous winners are always invited back as well. So you'll get to see some familiar faces this year as we've worked our way through the rounds. So far, we've said goodbye to Jason Velasco, Scott Beckham, our own Taylor Moss, KL Cleaton, Joe Walton, Chris Jones, Marcel Dusick, and John Somsky. They all fell in the first round, valiant warriors that they were. And since then, we've also lost Kim Kilroy, Ben Enslow, Eric Jin, and Craig Savage. There's been some fantastic matches. Taylor, you've done a great job giving these players a lot of room to run. And here we are with the final four. So, without further ado, tonight we have two matches in the final four, of course. Rob Washam versus Dan Kennedy, and then Matt Matros versus Joe Coolis. And then we're not even giving these guys time for an ice bath in between sessions. The winners will then go on immediately in our best 2 out of 3 finals. That's going to be happening right afterwards. So you're in for 3 to 4 matches, depending, or I guess three
Four
to
to
five
five.
matches.
Four to
Yeah, four to
five.
five matches, depending on how it goes tonight.
Hmm.
I should never try and do math live on the show.
That's why I'm
Um,
here.
You're here to ground us. To ground us, Taylor. Exactly. And we've got some great people in the YouTube chat. Great to see Chris and Benny and some other fun folks getting active in there. So yeah, do have a good time tonight. Um, Rob Washam versus Dan Kennedy. So Taylor, this is our first round of competition tonight. Um, Rob, one of the OGs of Rec Poker, along with yourself. People don't know you guys were part of this before even I joined up as one of the first premium members. Rob's been running the book study for several years now, a very learned player, and he's always grounding us in our strategy conversations, not to get too highfalutin and just to focus on who's actually at the table with us, who are we playing this hand against, and how to kind of tailor our game against them. Dan Kennedy has been a Rec Poker Premium member forever and part of the Minnesota poker scene for years and years. He's gotten more and more involved with Rec Poker over the last couple of years. He's been on a fantastic ascent, just great result after great result after being a real good bankroll builder. And he's really kind of coming into his own in the poker world. I think Rob probably has an experience edge just from like hands logged over the years.
For sure.
Um, and Dan, I think, might have sort of the guts, no guts, no glory edge. He's definitely going to be the more aggressive player, pushing edges, um, and he's going to leave everything on the field tonight, everything on the felt.
Hmm.
What's your take on the? You've played with both these players, maybe more with Dan recently, but what's your
Yes.
assessment?
Yeah, so played a bunch with both of these. Dan is my tag team partner when we have tag team events at the local place here. So I'll be rooting for him. Spoilers for when we do winner picks of who we think from this Final Four is going to go on to win. I'm picking my guy Dan, my tag team partner. But yeah, Rob is going to be systematic in his approach,
Yep.
and Dan is going to be chaotic in his approach. And we're going to probably see that play out here where Dan will take spots that say, hey, you haven't shown much strength here. Let
Mm.
me try and take this away. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm going to go with Dan overall as my winner pick when we talk about these
All
final
right.
four.
Well, being a contrarian, and of course out of support for my friend Rob, I'm going to take Rob in this round, and then I reserve my right to make a new
Ah,
prediction later on. So we'll just see.
so very
But
generous of yourself to allow yourself that opportunity to change your prediction later.
I'm a generous guy. I'm a generous guy, Taylor. Thanks for noticing that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So here we go,
This
Rob. We're
we're
starting with 75 bigs. Great structure to get into, and it's already the battle of the Titans, a pocket pair versus Ace King.
right. One of those hands that like could get it all in, but first hand of the tournament or first hand of the match probably not going to dictate towards that. And then with that flop, probably not going to. Ace King isn't looking to see a 9, 8, 7, 6 run out, and neither is pocket threes. So um, we'll save the fireworks for later, I guess.
And now it's Dan's turn to have Ace King. Dan at the bottom of the screen here with a knife emoji, kind of threatening Dan, but all right.
He's been going
And
with that, the
I've
knife
noticed
emoji.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, without the cameras on, it's very, he's going for full intimidation mode.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be
And
having a hard time intimidating Rob off 2 pair.
right. And Ace King looks like such a good hand, but Jack
Mm,
Six just a way better hand, I guess. At least
I
in this
guess.
one, and that's going to give Rob an early lead. Dan continued. We didn't see much re-aggression from Rob. there. And I think that's how we might see this match play out, where Dan's the one deciding the pace that they were playing.
Mm.
Dan did the betting on the flop in the turn with Ace King, even though he had just Ace King high. Rob getting two pair, but not finding a raise or three bet opportunity at any point there. So I think that could
Okay,
be a common theme.
Rob's tagged back with Ace King.
Yeah, Chris
And
just said Ace King no good so far. It's 0 for 2.
yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming Deuce 4 is going to find a way to win here as well, too.
Boy,
Right,
they both just got
just
all
go 0
sorts
for
of fun.
3.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a good one? I noticed Dan's already started with a limping strategy in the small blind with this 4-2 offsuit.
And
Rob's coming in at
with 4
2.1. Here
high,
we go.
just find the raise. Yeah, find the raise with
Yeah,
4 high.
he's got the back door and four
A
high.
lot of draws out there, and he goes huge and gets
There
a
you
4.
go.
Ace King 0 for 3. And
0 for 3.
4 high, 1 for 1.
And I like the sizing there. It's not an over bet. It's still only about three-quarters pot or something like that. But very dynamic board. Looks like he's trying to protect against draws coming in like a made hand there. And after all, Ace King is just ace high.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing what I was kind of expecting from the start. Rob being systematic in his approach and Dan being chaotic.
Mm.
Going for it with 4 deuce off there, I think you have to describe as chaotic.
Well, it might be a little chaos here. They both get a piece of this. Rob's checking out in flow like usual here, and we'll see if he just calls or puts in a raise here to Dan's stab. Another limped pot. He does just call. So I'd expect a check from Rob here, and we'll see how Dan responds.
Yeah, and I mean, in a limped pot, 2-1 big blind bet, flopping top pair, I'd like to see Rob go for a raise here on the flop and start building a pot. Because too often then you get into this spot where you flop top pair, you won like 3 or 4 big blinds from your opponent. And you just really need to capitalize on those opportunities.
Now Rob's opening to 2x. He doesn't know it, but he's got Dan dominated. He's got him pipped pretty badly here.
And now has
that
him
pretty much sews it
drawing
up.
very thin once the 5 hits. But he doesn't realize.
It's true.
Well, Dan maybe does, because he quickly folds the fold there, acting like he had some sort of good hand that was like tough to fold. But
You got to build the
now
suspense into this.
the domination rotation. Now Dan has
Ooh.
Rob dominated.
I remember when that dance sensation swept the nation, Taylor. Where were you when the domination rotation swung through Minnesota?
I must have been busy, but I heard all about it.
So now Rob's going back to that 2.1 big blind open. So I'm curious to see what is what factors he's choosing to deviate from 2.0 to 2.1 and what other sizes we might see from him.
I bet it's just like laziness or lack of laziness whenever he's like picking his raise size would be my guess.
Yep.
But we could see. I don't know. Maybe we'll see differently later. But yeah, Dan's choosing a big limping strategy, even with ace deuce suited here, going for a limp.
And I think I do see more players employing a pretty heavy limp strategy in. Oh, this is kind of interesting now. Having picked up the straight, goes for a small overbet. Overbet.
Yeah, and gets the
Yeah.
quick call from Rob with queen high. So, Rob,
Queen high is a monster in some of these setups here. So
it can be. I can understand the call there, just in the terms of, hey, he was checking, and like a lot of his range is just so weak there. And then when Dan goes big, it's unlikely for him to have hit a good hand, given that it checked to this point, and he could feel like, well, he's not going to go this big with ace high, so queen high is, an extremely viable bluff catching opportunity. It just
absolutely.
just didn't work out when Dan had river to straight.
And these players know each other very well. Dan has been a part of Rob's book studies. I think they've played together in Minnesota.
They worked together.
Oh yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of them was the other one's way into Rec Poker, actually, if memory serves. That's so
Rob is
funny.
the OG.
Yeah.
So Rob brought in Dan to Rec Poker, got him familiar with it. That was a big bet there by Dan with King High, and Rob finally, I'm liking to see it,
Yep.
said, no, we're going to raise the price of poker here and put some pressure on Dan there with his top pair, very good kicker.
Yep. And he makes up most of those chips, so Dan's still ahead a little, but not by as much as he was before. You know, a lot of small pots or one big pot, they all stack up the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Dan does have a reputation of being an aggressive, kind of a chaotic player. And so I do think Rob's going to be inclined to call down a little lighter, to do some bluff catching, and to kind of let Dan,
Mm-hmm.
um, make some errors of aggression, or at least make some aggressive plays in what might be a bad spot.
Yeah, and you see Dan take those approaches when he does make good hands. So I think we might see some of that here when he flops trips with Ace 10.
Yeah,
Um, this is very similar in limp pot. He went one big. I think he feels pretty confident about his hand now.
he probably does.
The
Rob doesn't know it, but he does not
the
want to see a seven or a king.
oh man, yeah, a King River would have been deadly.
Now, I think
Uh,
Dan can get called here because King High is actually pretty good on a scary board like this. We see this overbet again,
yeah.
and yeah,
Hmm.
there it is. So you can see Dan's image working for him when he is making strong hands here, like you predicted, Taylor.
Yeah, I thought he could maybe get a little bit more there. I think the him hitting quads got him to slow down on the turn when otherwise, with a lot of other turn cards, he would have continued to try and build a pot. I think he
Hmm.
just kind of got the whoa, well, I've got all of this board. What could you possibly have, and what am I
Right.
going to get value from?
Yeah, definitely.
And here, I guess we'll see how each of them hang on with a low pair on a board that does kind of dictate that a low pair might be good.
I'm confident we'll see a call from Rob here, and we do.
Yeah, to me it was
Um,
just, does he raise? Do we see a raise out of
mm,
him there with that middle pair? And wow, check check on the river. Correctly so for Dan, but I was getting a sense that we might see a bigger pot there. But
Me too. It's hard to make pairs heads up. And especially when the board pairs like that, it's just less likely that your opponent had one of those to begin with.
mm-hmm.
Um, I agree.
Yeah, because we saw the aggression with Dan, just to like go back to like the deuce forehand that he had. He went for the 3/4 pot bet size with 4 high on a Jack 10-9 something, 2 club, 2 spade board. Like
Hmm.
that is wet. Like your opponent can have so much of that that it's hard to find something that they're gonna have a fold with. But then on some of these other ones, like Queen Queen 4 Deuce,
Right.
very dry, less draws out there, and we're seeing differing levels of action on some of these boards that I'm finding interesting to see how it's going to continue to play out.
Well, I think, heads up play is so different from every other kind of no limit hold'em. Even three-handed, it's just drastically different because of the small blind
Mm-hmm.
being in position. It just makes and it's an experience that's difficult to kind of recreate the strategies that you use here in the experience of playing in these pressure situations.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we have MaREC Madness. But kind of want to see this hand play out. We had a limp
Yeah.
raise 3 bet, and
Oh,
someone
wow.
is dominated.
They both have a piece. They both have a couple back doors here.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for either to find a fold here, but neither can feel too confident. And now they both hit a flush. So
Hmm.
Rob's going to have this on lockdown, but he doesn't necessarily know it.
And then Dan does kind of show a little chink in the armor there by checking back on the turn. I wonder if that gives Rob.
Which, to be fair, I mean, one pot size bet left. I am not afraid to do that with the ace of clubs, king of clubs, queen of clubs as
Sure.
well here. Because on the river, you get your opponent to kind of give away their hand strength when they make a bet. And yeah, there you kind of see Dan making a correct fold, and one that's tough to make, even though he had a flush there.
Absolutely.
You may think, well, it's a five of clubs for a flush. Like, it really isn't that great. It's hard for your opponent to have a flush there. They can easily bluff at that spot as well too. So a good fold by Dan, saving himself 14 big blinds in
Yep.
that pot. One that very much had the potential to get big and out of control.
And we did see Rob going for that kind of thin value there, which is admirable. Um,
Hmm.
especially, it's just hard playing these kind of spots out of position. There's no doubt about it.
For sure, because what does Rob do there if Dan jams the river?
Right.
You've got the
Yep.
seven of clubs. Dan three bet pre-flop. He could easily have any of the higher clubs. And what bluffs would he have in that spot? So it would have been interesting to see a raise there, but I get it. Dan just makes the correct fold.
And I think the pre-flop action did kind of freeze them a little bit at the end there because when it's a two bet, it's a limp two bet, three bet pot. Like there's a lot of high cards in those ranges, and it's just very easy for one of those to be a club.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But they're getting back again, pretty close to even. Dan's still got a small edge, but it's definitely anybody's game. There's a lot of poker left to be played here.
Yeah, for sure. Dan just won the pot before this, but before that one started, I think they were like neck and neck within a big blind or two of each other.
Yeah.
And this deep, yeah, you're oh wow, a sneaky rivered straight for
Mm.
Dan here.
And it gives Rob the pair. So I think again,
Yeah,
Dan's
it's
going with these overbets. I like it.
mhm,
And Rob's got to be getting frustrated because
for
he's
sure.
playing Dan's image so well here, and he's like screwing himself, up to make the call, and he's calling these overbets, and Dan's just happened to have it every time. Boy, that can get a little frustrating after a while.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a good way of Dan getting that little bit of extra value because I think typically you see a lot of people go 2/3, 3/4 pot size on the river there when they river those hands. Dan's going like 1.5, so he's getting double the
Hmm.
value that most people are in those
Hmm.
spots. To be fair, when he starts to use that size as a bluff and gets called, he's also going to lose twice as much. But at least up until this point, when he's been hitting value, that's the part that's given him the lead that we see
Yep.
currently.
Wasn't a big hand on the last hand there, but I think Rob did miss some value in position. He flopped top pair on a monotone board, and just the way the hand played out, I think he could have gotten a small bet called on the turn or the river.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so again, I think Rob's still kind of feeling Dan out and trying to find the right spot to capture some value here. Now we get a limped pot. 9-3 from Rob, all hearts. And Dan checks his pocket twos, one of my favorite hands. And we'll see if he gets a chance to hold on here or lets it go. And there are no good flops for pocket twos. So as he's set mining here, just decides to let it go. Another limp from Dan. And we're in the next level here. So the effective stacks are down to looks like about 45.
Yeah, I had a kid interrupt me, so sorry about that. And then I also, when I take my headphones off and then I put them back on, it thinks that I'm trying to replay music. So then I had music play for a little bit. So we're running hot around here. Hopefully, none of that was too distracting for anyone on the broadcast, but we're back.
I tried to vamp. I think we did okay. All right,
Yeah.
pair versus pair. And here's Dan limping again with nines. We'll see a raise from Rob. Oh no, Rob does just smooth.
Wow. Yeah.
A little sneaky here.
I guess we're just gonna play small ball pre, and then
Yep.
try and spring traps later.
Yep.
It can be tough to do that. You have to
Especially out of
when
position.
you have good hands, building pots, getting those chips in the middle can be really advantageous. And wow, that was a much smaller pot than I could have ever imagined.
Me too.
For pair versus pair in heads up poker there.
Yeah, I thought for sure we were going to see some fireworks. So Rob does go for the min open here with fours. And Dan's sure to complete and
Sure to hit a pair.
picks up bottom pair, but he is ahead right now.
Tricky
Rob
spot for
might
Rob.
check back here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you've got under pair to the board on a very draw
very
heavy,
dynamic.
wet
Yeah.
board. And Dan even just folds bottom pair there. Wow.
Okay. I think Dan might have been
Interesting.
thinking, I'm out of position. It's going to be hard for me to realize this equity. It's such a dynamic board. There's hardly any good turns or rivers. Just doesn't want to take this line against Rob.
Yeah. Power of
So
position.
both players turning, leaving some equity on the table here in these heads up spots.
Okay, so we saw an overbet here from Dan on the turn 8, and Rob quickly called. I'm curious what he. Yeah, he goes for another overbet on the river and gets it to work out. So there he found it with the bluff. He's not just doing it with value.
Hmm.
We're seeing him take that approach. And Rob so far has had the misfortune of getting it incorrect each and every time.
And it was an interesting spot for Dan there. He really had no equity in the hand there other than just the six outs for the overcards. So it was, less a semi bluff and more, I think, just kind of reading that Rob didn't have a strong hand there and applying pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is like how the board played out. It came out all low cards, then an over to that, and then a flush completing card. Just all things that can put pressure on a lot of hands that
Hmm.
Rob has, and especially hands that check to your opponent on the river there. So I think all those were kind of the signals that Dan took to continue the bluffing.
I like it. So if folks don't know, Mrs. Blusterini and I are flying to Dublin in a few days. So I'm spending a couple weeks there for the Irish Poker Open and our wedding anniversary. So I had to use up all the olives in the fridge or else they'd go bad over the next 2 weeks. So I had to make it a martini night for us here in the Blusterini household.
Yeah, you could never let those olives go bad. You have to
No,
make the
no,
martini.
not frugal
First.
Jim. I refuse to waste food. Will not occur.
I do remember the one tweet that you had that was like, "I've got this in my fridge, and I need to figure out how to like make meals out of these things."
That's my mojo. So both players with an ace there. A scary, scary board. Rob had the flush draw, put a stab out there, and did get
Hmm.
Dan to fold a better ace.
I obviously don't have all the records of things, but that felt like one of the first times that like Rob really tried to flip the script on Dan. I feel like Dan
Mm.
has been the one driving a lot of the betting, and here we now see one with the King Six suited.
Yeah,
Rob taking that approach, and wow, talk about only having 9 high, but a ton of equity.
no kidding. Any diamond, any five, any 10. And little does Dan know, either an eight or a nine would also put him ahead of Rob. But Rob does have the advantage right now and comes out for half pot. Just a brutal card for Rob there, bringing in the flush
Yeah,
and
that
kind of
seals
tying
his
this one up for
fate.
Dan.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see, yeah, I think he could have gotten smaller there just because,
I think the stack size that Rob had. Yeah.
yes, precisely. Yeah, you're down to sort of an SPR of one. Even just a small bet on the turn there makes the river easier to get it in.
Yeah, something about it just kind of told me I think that Rob was ready to give up with the hand. He took
Mm.
his 3-bet bluff opportunity with King 6. He bet the
Yep,
flop with his bottom pair and
yep.
got called, and then a very connected turn card came in with the third diamond. I wouldn't be surprised if Rob was just checked out from that
Yep.
hand. And this one, rivering 2 pair for Dan and
Oof.
Rob having his pair. Is going to put that Somsky ratio up there. These past few hands have all gone Dan's way, and it's really putting the pressure on Rob now.
And actually, I really like the way Rob played that King Six hand because you have to look for some of those three bets and then protect that equity on the flop there. I didn't mind that at all. It's just Dan's just had the cards kind of coming in his way in some of these bigger spots here so far.
Yeah, and here you've got it, Rob having an open-ended straight draw, but Dan gets top pair.
Yeah.
And now it's putting pressure on Rob, and Rob's down to 12 and a half bigs. It's going to be
It's going to get
tough.
frisky soon. Yep. I'll see a raise from Dan. I'm sure it's just open shove at 12.
Just
Yes, he
rips it.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little did he know, like a raise to 3 bigs would probably been perfect, given that he had his opponent pipped. But
Hmm.
can't always
Speaking
know
of,
exactly what your opponent's cards are.
now it's Rob's turn to have him dominated. It would be so juicy to come in here for a smaller raise just to get called, but
Yeah.
Rob
Just
does
rips
shove
it.
there, as I'm sure he's doing with most of his range.
Yeah, I think we could see quite a bit of this, so it might just come down to what gets dealt to each
Hmm.
player here. And will Rob double up, or will Dan deal that like final blow?
And Taylor, in this situation, is there a, oh boy, well,
Okay.
this is almost certainly going to be the last hand with middle pair for Rob on a short stack.
Yeah, he
He
just
does
rips
shove
it
all in.
too into a set.
Yeah,
He's got to
bad
get a
timing.
favorable turn card. Oh, that is a
Oh,
favorable turn
oh,
card.
okay.
Queen
Yep.
10 or 9.
Queen 10 or 9. That's a lot. Oh,
Wow.
wow. Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Could not, could not improve. And Rob Washam takes a walk to the rail. And Dan Kennedy will advance to our finals. Holy cow. Um,
His first year in MaREC Madness, and he's making his way to the championship.
I love that. Yeah. So, way to go, Dan. Well played, Rob. I thought that was a really interesting match. You kind of nailed it, Taylor, from your brief at the beginning. Rob was taking those calculated spots and really like not turning down those bluff catching opportunities against Dan. And Dan was just mixing it up well, having it sometimes, not having it other times, and he just got Rob on the off foot, unfortunately, a couple times there. But well played by both players, and you love to see them kind of going for some of those spots there. Matt Matros versus Joe Coolis. So Joe Coolis is the only remaining participant this year who has won in the past. Joe was the 2024 MaREC Madness Champion. A longtime Wrecking Crew member. He runs a monthly session here for actually all our free members, all our community members, where he takes his experience as a board certified clinical neuropsychologist to examine the way that the mind works in relation to poker and all sorts of other cool stuff like that. You can check that out with a free account at Rec.Poker, which I hope folks go and get. Matt Matros, of course, WSOP bracelet winner, poker author, one of the coaches here at Rec Poker on the Wrecking Crew, and a longtime friend of the show. Fantastic guy. He's done some great training programs with us, and actually has a couple of our group coaching cohorts available in the shop here if you want to come and work with Matt directly, which I really do encourage people to do. What's your take, Taylor? I don't think you've played much with either of these players. They both bring a lot to the table. Who's got the edge?
Correct. Yeah, I've played the least with these two. Matros, WSOP bracelet winner, 2 times, 3 times. I forget. 3, right? That's
You
a
tell
lot.
me. I'm in martini mode at this point.
All right. Oh, WSOP bracelet winner Matros. From what we've seen in the 2 matches leading up to this, he not only makes big hands, but he makes big bets and gets his opponent to call those big bets, and ends his opponent really quickly. So I haven't seen a whole lot from him. Joe Cool, we've seen him play in years past. He's got a very thoughtful approach to it. He's not afraid to bluff catch. I'm going to go Matros on this one, but this one is kind of a bit of a toss-up in my mind.
Yeah, Joe likes to sort of play this aw shucks, I'm not really that good at poker role, but he's won just a ton of stuff around here, and we're not buying anymore, Joe. So he does bring a lot to the table here. I think Matt has the edge just being a professional player for so long, and I think he knows how to play all the ranges. He knows how to play all the stack sizes. He knows how to apply pressure and to sniff out when you don't have it. So Joe's going to need a little bit of run good and some intestinal fortitude to pull this one off. But I believe in you, Joe. Let's see what you can do.
Well, he just turned a gut shot straight versus his opponent. Yeah, it's going to be tough for Matros, I think, to bet with bottom pair here. It's one of those hands that just really wants to like get to showdown whenever it can. This half pot bet might be the exact right size for Joe Koulis. I don't know if he could have gone much bigger than that to get a call out of his opponent, but
I noticed in the match last week with Matt against fellow WSOP bracelet winner Craig Savage, who's another coach here at Rec.Poker on our Wrecking Crew, and Matt was employing a limping strategy pretty early. He was definitely mixing it up pre-flop and using some really interesting sizes post-flop to put people in a tough spot.
yeah, I remember seeing him take some big bet sizes, which I think is just a little bit unconventional just for the standard player. I think a lot of the games that we play in just generally tend to err on the lower size for bet sizing. And from what I was seeing, Matros was ready to ratchet that up a little bit, put his opponents in a little uncomfortable spots.
And here we do see Matt taking the limp line. Joe's got a pretty good candidate for a three bet here or for a raise. I think he should go a little larger when he chooses to isolate there. 2.3 just doesn't put enough pressure on Matt's opening range when he's going to be in position and able to make good decisions post flop.
I've seen that from Joe Koulis in previous matches and also previous years with MaREC Madness, and I'd like to see a little bit bigger size from him when he's taking some of those three bet opportunities. It's a spot where you're supposed to be portraying I've got a better hand than you, and I'd like to play for more chips. But going so small just allows them to continue with a lot of hands, and then the dynamics can change. And this could be an interesting one for Joe to take a chunk from Matros. This is a small continuation now. It's almost like a where are you at? And
Oh my God, that's so gross.
yeah, that's going to be a two-outer that really
Wow,
is
I
going to
feel
be
so
tough
bad
for
for Joe
Koulis
here.
to like think through, you know?
Oh, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
Smooth call here.
it's a pot-sized bet. Like I think Matros is just going to go all in here and get snap called by Joe
It
Cool.
it does look like, Joe's. Oh yeah, here we go. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, what a gross spot. What a gross spot. And I
What have
think
I
we've seen this with Matros's opponents. They're like, "Oh, he's a bracelet winner. He's a pro player. He's going to have all these bluffs and stuff." But he's just happened to have these big hands at the time that he puts these huge bets in, and
Yeah.
it's like the same thing with Dan and Rob. They're sort
Yeah.
of giving him credit for being this aggressive player, and he's just waking up with it and raining fire down upon his opponent. So that's it. All right. Well, Matt Matros is going to take on Dan Kennedy. I hope they had a chance to go pee, get a new glass of water or something, because
Yeah.
the 2-minute turnaround.
Set this
Gentlemen,
up for
start your
playing.
engines.
Yeah.
So Taylor, you were
Championship
saying
time. We're
Yeah.
at the championship, Jim. We're here.
it's just like that easy, that
We're
quick.
here.
Pretty amazing. Okay, so folks, this is a best 2 out of 3. It's Dan Kennedy versus Matt Matros. They'll reverse fields after each match, so neither player has an advantage with the wind. I think we've tried to really kind of
Yep.
even the odds here as much as possible.
And for the home crowd to be in each of their ears, that also plays a part too.
That's right. We got some really fun comments in the YouTube chat. I wish
Yeah.
folks were all here to enjoy this in real time. But way to go! I love that, Killy. You got it, man. All right, so here we go. So Dan versus Matt. Taylor, you said already you're putting your money behind your tag team partner Dan Kennedy.
Yeah.
I've gotten some coaching from Matt. We've had some fun times in Vegas together. I really do think he's not only an excellent poker player, but a really good guy. I'm glad that he's one of our Wrecking Crew coaches over here. Hard to pick against him. God, like I love
very
Dan.
true,
Dan's
yeah.
like such a fun guy. But Matt just, yeah, I mean he's a pro player. He's been a play. He literally wrote several books on poker. I think I got to go with Matt Matros for this one. But
It's fair.
Thi-
I mean,
there's
we've
going to be
seen-
some big bets, big raises. This is going to be an action match, I think.
It very well could be, and if Matt keeps up his history, he's gonna cooler the shit out of Dan because he's done that to everyone else so far this tournament. So
As,
why
as
fight the
Chris points out in
cards?
the chat, it's yeah, don't blink. Matt Matros matches they end in like 5 seconds. It's true. It's been quick and dirty. All right, Dan and Matt, they're back. They've hydrated. They've drained the main vein. They're ready to get after it here in the MaREC Madness finale.
Dan's back with his knife. He's ready for
Yep. He's saying, "Don't. I'll cut that bracelet right off your wrist, Matt."
it. Oh, that's gotta be a tough one for Dan though. Ace high. Feel like you've got showdown value. You
Yep.
lose to essentially that very next tier up in hands, which is bottom pair, bad kicker.
I like the new nickname, the Poker Brain versus Highfalutin Dan. There you go. Dan, I think Dan would actually kind of like that. That's kind of
I think he
lyrical.
would, yeah.
I think he would.
Dan needs someone singing on his rail because that's what he does for others.
Oh,
You heard
I
about
get the sense he would be a good rail.
yeah, you
That
heard
makes
about
sense.
Chris Jones at Rec.Poker Weekend, right?
Yeah. But maybe our audience hasn't. Please.
Oh yeah, I forget. I think it was like a year ago, last January's Rec.Poker Weekend. Um, Dan was staying the night, so he could partake in some drinks.
Yep,
Chris
a
was
few.
making a run in the nightly tourney. He would like to express his support for Chris Jones, so he was singing Chris Jones, Chris Jones, Chris Jones, Chris Jones very loudly on the rail and needed to get escorted away from the table. So,
I fold. That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, that absolutely did happen. So Matt has turned two pair, goes for a small over bet here. Does put
yeah.
Dan in kind of a tricky spot with second pair on a paired board.
I forget. I was too busy singing. I didn't see how the flop and turn river or flop and turn action went. But Dan's given this a think here,
Hmm.
and does find a call. It's hard to blame him because he loses to a queen. He chops with a lot of other nines. He beats all the bluffs. Yeah.
Yep. How can Matt Matros just have it all these times?
Right? One of
That's
these times.
that's what his opponents are
Surely.
thinking.
Yeah. But it quickly, that hand skewing things, giving Matros, a 3-1 roughly chip lead here.
Hmm.
Dan going to try and get some value here after Matros river or turn to pair and now rivers a straight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because Dan's getting it in good in that spot there too, and going for thin value and getting it,
Yeah,
and
it's
then
yeah. I was like, this is tough for Dan to call when that comes in, and Matros does make the big bet there. So he does correctly fold, but gotta just feel like a gut punch in a sense.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And here we go for the three bet from Dan with suited king, and they
Oh, they
both
both
get a
hit the
piece of it.
kicker.
Oh no!
Oh,
So I think we'll see a bet from Dan, and we do. Do we get a raise from Matt here? He's got a strong hand, doesn't want to see any
yeah.
turns and rivers, and I think Dan has to call with second pair, backdoor flush, and an over.
Yeah. Oh, he does
He
find a
very
fold.
disciplined full, Dan. Way to go. Way to
Yeah,
go.
because part of it is like, what is Matros raising there? I mean, I
Mm,
guess he could with flush draws, but a lot of those flush draws have pretty darn good equity versus just
that's a
a
good
pair of
point.
sevens. If he's got a 10 or if he's got a pair higher than a 7, it's a pretty tough spot. But the troublesome part is it puts Dan in a big hole in match
Oh yeah.
one of this.
The good news is that means it's chaos mode. And it's time to realize some equity here. Oh God. Just cannot catch a break. Um,
Oh yeah,
oh fuck.
let's give him a full house.
Yeah, just
Um,
bring the jack on the river for maximum pain here.
yeah, and because I could see Dan, uh, yeah, getting spicy here because he's got the
Yeah.
gut shot. It's so unlikely. And Jim, you
Oh,
called it.
wow. 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 How, oh, so painful. So painful.
Well,
And then, oh,
the good news
okay.
of
We're going to give them 2 minutes, right? Okay. They've got 2 minutes.
we're gonna
Dan,
reset.
do some squats. Dan,
Ooh, good
get some
call.
squats in. Regain your composure. You're coming in one down, but this is a best two out of three. And, I am flummoxed
Yeah.
at some of the setups that Matt Matros has
What
had
did
coming into this finale.
what did he do to get them to speed it up so he could get on to other things? Because clearly he's got something else that he has going on, and he's like, I don't care. I'm gonna talk to the Poker Now people. Like, just deal me coolers. Let me take out my opponents so I can go into
Pretty
other things.
amazing. I think Rich Deakins is here in the chat saying he was double parked. I think that's true. He definitely
Yeah.
he seems like he's had somewhere to be. But I mean, what's amazing about it is we knew that these were going to be aggressive matches. We knew Matt was going to seize every opportunity to just
Mm-hmm.
wring every ounce of equity out of these spots. But it hasn't been just good bluffs and good sizing and aggressive play. It's actually just been a lot of like scary made hands and kind of set up decks for his opponents. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think Matt came into this with a big advantage skill wise against a lot of our competitors, but he's also really just been running them over with the deck.
Yeah. When you've got the skill advantage and the luck advantage, it's kind of tough to have your opponent beat you if you're getting
That's
lucky
hard to beat.
and you're playing better. So,
Yeah.
well,
Um,
there's still potentially two more matches.
oh
We'll
yeah.
have to see if Dan can get one back, even the playing field, and put some pressure on it. Because right now Matros is kind of playing pressure free. Just
True.
needs to win
Great
one
point.
out of two.
But if there's a guy that DGAF, Dan Kennedy is one of them,
Yeah,
and
those are his middle
he's
name. It's just initials. DGAF.
And he's a mercurial fellow too. Like I think he's able to kind of just flow into the next state, let this kind of run off his back like water off a duck's back, and just get right back into fighting form here. So um, they've got the chat active here between these two. I'm glad they're having a good time together. Yeah, that gut shot for Dan really was the kiss of death. I don't know how else that could have gone. So now we see Dan starting with an open limp in the first hand. So again, both players really embracing that limping strategy early on.
All right, here we go, Dan. Just flop two pair.
Yep. Very wet board. Yeah, let's just see the pot size bet there. And Matros folds the gut shot. I wonder if this is another limp for Dan. It is. And Matt lets it through. Definitely see a bet. And we do.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy the way that it's played out, and the way that we're going into is really interesting. A lot of limping pre-flop, but then a lot of big pots going down
Hmm.
post-flop. So it's actually
Hmm.
kind of crazy how it's playing out. They're like, I'm gonna limp and then I'm gonna try and bounce. It's absolutely wild. And why don't we
Wow.
give both of them an open-ended straight draw?
God. Yeah, the poker gods have decided that these two players have to share a lot of equity in these hands. That does tend to make for some spiciness.
Ooh. And he's
Now that
taking
we get the
six high into an overbet. We've seen this from him earlier tonight and in previous matches. Didn't know he was bluffing with the best hand, though. I can
Yep,
almost
it does get
guarantee he didn't know that.
no, definitely. But did get Matt to fold his open ended there. So it's always nice when you get to win 100% of the pot.
Mm-hmm.
The limp pot. So I'm kind of curious to see some of the hands that Matt will choose to raise over the limper there. King eight offsuit feels like a candidate and just not one he wanted to pull the trigger on this time. Oh man.
let's just give him aces.
He deserves aces. Matt deserves
Yeah,
aces.
he's had
He had a
such
rough couple hands there.
just a rough stretch, and Dan takes a 3-bet versus aces. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, and the
Now I
cold
like that.
four.
I like that this is one I think Dan can just. I'm going to three bet this. It's a
Yeah,
nice three bet slash fold candidate
that's the whole
blocker
point of it. If
value.
he would have called, I would have
Yeah.
had to like call him up on the phone and be like, Dan, why are we 3-bet bluffing just to call? But
Uh,
uh,
great comment in the YouTube chat from Eric Jin, who said I was up 1-0 last year in the finals. That last one to close it out never
ooh,
came. Yeah, that's right. It's just no guarantee. Being up one, it's all it is.
yeah. I know Chris and I played for the inaugural MaREC Madness Championship.
Of course you did.
I forget who won the first match, but I know our third match went ages. It was an insane back and forth. And hey, look, Dan's rivering a better pair than his opponent. This is going to get him
Oh,
into
yeah,
the lead
just
here now. Maybe he can do the arm wrestlers slam down. Well, he's got
right.
jacks, but his opponent has no hand. So it's
So
gonna
Matt limping 100% of hands here.
Chris claims he was up 1-0 in our first heads-up match.
You might have to go to the tape.
The
Might have
tape
to.
is there.
The eye in the sky don't lie.
I've got a big hard drive of all the MaREC Madness stuff dating back. So
Ooh.
yeah,
And if folks that don't have access to Taylor's big hard drive want to see previous years, you can go to our free website at
online hard
Rec.Poker.
drive. Yeah, YouTube. Although what Chris
Yeah,
says
they're all there.
that he was up 1-0, and then I won the next one fast, and then the last match was an absolute grind. That sounds right. So
I tend to trust Chris when he speaks declaratively like that. He doesn't get out of line.
yeah,
Unless he and I are disagreeing about something, then he's full of shit.
traumatic events are more prone to like stick in your memory. So I'll go with his memory on this one over mine. 'Cause he had the traumatic experience.
That's right. A comment.
Oh,
Where's Joe
and that's
Cool?
exactly what he said. Yeah, the loser
Yeah.
remembers better than the winner. That's exactly what I was
Yep.
going with.
I think that's right. I think that's right.
Ooh, I thought we'd maybe see a call from Matros there with the bottom end of a straight draw, but he's just giving it up.
Yeah, three diamonds on the board, and now I will say what might be Dan's secret weapon here is that Dan knows who Matt Matros is, but but Matt has no idea who Dan Kennedy is. So Dan, being such a more aggressive player than the pool, I think might present sort of a more difficult opponent to Matt to not be able to kind of put him in a box as easily and as cleanly.
Yeah, we'll have to get the lowdown scoop. Did Matros research his opponents?
Mm-hmm. He's
Or
a
did he just
diligent
go in
fella.
blind? Or did he just flop bottom set?
I mean, as a guy who likes to flop a lot of sets, I do approve of the play. Mhm.
Who needs to research opponents when you're just gonna flop
Just
sets,
storm over the whole table.
turn full houses? Like, yeah,
But you got to make sure your opponent rivers the gutter when you
Rivers the
turn the
gutter,
full
yeah.
house. That's crucial.
or versus Joe Cool in the earlier match, just flops top pair. So yeah,
Yeah. Now Dan's taking a three bet line here again with the block. Oh, and he actually gets the fold from the better hand.
There's that Dan Kennedy move that I was expecting to see. Queen 4
Yep.
off, no connectedness. Boom, let me put some pressure on my opponents. And then, ooh, flops
Oh,
trips versus open ended.
It's there's some sneaky equity for Matt though.
Will he
I
just
think
give it up? No, he won't.
because
But
it's so well disguised too. I think
that's
it's a great
the
way to
last
get
chip
paid.
that he's going to get out of him. That's for sure. Yeah.
I think Dan chose a pot size there. Interesting.
Yeah, we could see this thing flip. Dan's now got a 2-to-1 Sansky ratio.
Yep.
Gets
That's
top
big.
pair versus
And
second
top
pair.
pair. could get kind of gross. I was gonna say I like a bet from Matt here, and of course Dan's not going anywhere.
Does he
See if
raise
he.
with,
I
like
love it.
a
This.
somewhat connected board? It is a Badoogie rainbow board, and
Oh, gross, gross. I think he should be firing here as he is.
and
Um,
Matros just gonna call though.
I think so.
Oh no, he goes for a small raise.
Oh, he does. Well, that's gross.
I think he's just got the read that like, hey, Dan's got a strong hand. I'm gonna try and put the chips in. And wow, Dan does find the fold
Nice read
correctly.
there, Dan.
Yeah, I didn't
Very
think that was
nice
gonna
read.
happen. I thought that was gonna be kind of one of those sneaky hands that
Me too.
totally
I
flips
probably
it.
I put more chips in there if I'm in Dan's spot.
I
So
hate
Dan still
folding. It's
has.
hard to make a pair in this game.
It
It's so
is.
hard.
It is. Now this could get spicy. Dan's got a bit of a chip edge. Um, in spots like this, I was going to say I sort of tend to default to the imposition player when both players miss. Now Matt's picked up some equity on the
Is check on the river, or is Matros gonna
turn
go
there.
for thin value? He does go for thin value here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, pretty close. Dan still has a slight edge.
Mm-hmm.
Now in Matt's first match, I noticed in the first hand when his opponent limped, Matt ISO'd to like four big blinds with like 5-2 offsuit or something like that. Like he's really pouncing on the limps. So it's interesting. He chose to check back there with the 3-2 suited. You see a
Mm-hmm.
flop.
Yeah, it seems like first Dan he isn't putting on that pressure as much. And
Hmm.
maybe it was just a one-time thing. Maybe it's a more consistent thing, but yeah, we've seen a lot of 2.2 big blind pots in these matches
Yes.
tonight.
Yes. Okay, here we go. He's got the gut shot and
Just choosing a
three of
bad
those.
time to do it versus top
Yes.
pair. I imagine he's going to go big here too. 15? Oh, just 9, but Matros just is never going to fold
Yep.
with top pair there. Yeah, we saw that versus Rob earlier tonight. Dan getting value, going big, getting called. Now he's doing the same thing but with bluffs and running into when his opponent has value.
It's true.
And this quickly flipped, even though we're playing small ball pre-flop. Matros over the past like 4 or 5 hands went from like a 2-1 underdog to almost a 2-1 favorite in terms
Hmm.
of chips.
And it's the nature of poker, you're pushing your edges, you're trying to be aggressive.
Here he
When you
bounces.
Oh yeah, that's just what we were talking about. All right, now this is interesting. So they both have some draw equity. Dan's got the pair, but Matt has the aggression going for him. He's got the range advantage with the ace comes here. I think we'll
Yeah.
see a bet. And it does put Dan in a tough spot with bottom pair.
Yeah, he's got a straight draw, so I think he does continue. And now if you're Matros, do you continue the bluff? It's a tough spot to continue the bluff. Like pre-flop, it makes sense, but Dan has called, uh, essentially saying, I've got something. And a lot of that could be a
Mm-hmm.
jack.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say you'd have to go big
Whoa!
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Just ships it and
I
takes
love
the
to see
pot
it.
with 10 high.
And you were saying, Dan's looks like he's got that sort of made hand, but it can't be that strong. And
I
I
don't
think
know. Like he could
Matt
have had a
had
jack
one.
there. Like he
Yeah,
easily
I
could have
think so
just
too.
rivered trips. But Matros, yeah, wow. I was
It's a
curious.
it's a part of poker that I always struggle with. Okay, now here we got again big advantage to Dan. Let's see if he can actually get some chips out of
How is
Matt.
Matros going to win this hand?
Yeah, they
It's
both
how the
have
whole
two
match has
pair.
been going. Like, how is Matros going to win this?
Dan has the redraw to the flush too here.
Oh wow.
Um, okay, so I mean, this is
Yeah. Matros is
what
not winning this hand.
he's definitely not. I wonder if he's gonna push. He does check. I think Dan's got to just shove here.
Yeah.
and that'll be the end of that, I expect. But Matt's thinking about it. I mean, he's got two pair here.
Yeah.
But what does Dan have that he's beating? It's bottom two pair. There's a straight
Yeah.
on the board. There's
Hmm.
four to a flush.
I was just expecting there to be some sort of run out that Matros was going to win that one, just with how this has been going. I was
You're
like, okay,
saying
Dan made a good hand, but now Matros will make a better hand,
I just
cooler
pull the
him.
rug out from underneath him.
Yeah, I was waiting for it with how this has been going.
Uh,
Yeah,
here's
five
that raise
deuce.
again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
A monotone board like this, a small bet from Matt will probably get it done. Yeah, two big blinds seems about right. Again, just one of the perks of being the pre-flop aggressor, being the player that is making the raises, not the player that's making the calls. It just makes it so much easier for you to represent strong hands.
Dan finding some three bets.
Yep, I love it. I love it. Both these players definitely limping a lot and sort of choosing interesting spot. That was another one where Matt, I think, decided to try and realize his equity a little here and see a flop with 10-6 suited. Too good a hand to bluff raise, not a good enough hand to value raise. So he's got that in his check back.
Oh, nice. We have matching water bottles, Jim. Just different colors.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, how about that? There you go.
Yes.
Yours is a cooler color. Is that all black?
All black, yeah.
Wow. That's
This
very
is
cool. It's like a little red,
yeah,
orange, got a couple of things going on.
just all the colors. Yeah. Red,
I'm a colorful
white.
guy.
Yeah. Hmm.
Actually, I can't take credit for this. This was Mrs. Blusterini. Um, hydration is very important to younger women.
Yeah. Mine was thanks to Gopher Wife, CJM.
That's great. All right, King 10 suited versus pocket tens and 20 big blinds for Dan. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I could see him.
um,
I think he's just going to ship this. Yeah. And it's going to come down to needing a king
a lot of kings in the deck. All
or
sorts of ways for this to
diamonds.
go.
That's,
Yep, still could be diamonds. Okay, there's still three kings to my knowledge.
yeah, but not a club. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
trying to just two there.
Wow. All right. Well,
Uh, uh,
what what can you say? Matt Matros, congratulations. Our MaREC Madness Champion of 2026. How about that?
and
We were
crazy
all
quick.
here.
Usually we can like talk through random stuff all through the match, but wow,
I had
I
whole
think
other comments about your drinking container. We were gonna roll this out, but
yeah,
Matt
wow,
Matros just saying he knows how to bring the wood. That was it. Short
yeah.
matches from me. He just dispatched our his opponents like it was his job, which I guess for a while it was, to be fair.
To be fair,
So
yeah, I forget exactly how long his very first match went. But I know his second one versus Craig Savage was incredibly quick. He got it aces versus Queen Jack. Um, then the first match tonight he played, he got queens versus King something with a king high flop and then a queen turn. Take out
yeah,
Joe Cool. Uh, he turns a boat versus Dan in the first one, and then Dan rivers a straight, and it all gets in. And then some crazy hands in that last one as well too. And yeah, quick work by Matt Matros there to run himself up to be the 2026 MaREC Madness Champion. Another prestigious title for him.
that's right. And I remember his first match tonight, or in this series this year, was against John Somsky, and it was another spot where John just found a really objectively good bluff spot in one of the early hands and went for it, and Matt just happened to have like top two or something like that to snap him off. So it was just that was the theme. That was the theme for it this year. So Matt Matros continues to find new heights in the poker world. You thought winning a bracelet, being a published author many times
Mm-hmm.
over, and professional poker player and coach was enough. But no, congratulations. His ascent continues with becoming the 2026 MaREC Madness Champion. Well, congratulations to Matt and to all our fantastic competitors. 16 poker lovers putting it all on the line for bragging rights and a shot at being immortalized in the annals of history here. Taylor Moss in 2021, John Somsky in 2022, Keith Brandt, Joe Coolis, Scott Beckham, and now the one and only Matt Matros. So very, very cool that we're doing this. Very cool company to be in. And what a treat for me to just kind of hang out in the booth with you, Taylor, and some of these other fantastic folks, and watch it all come together. Any closing thoughts on the series this year?
Yeah, no, another great series in the books. I just want to say thanks to everyone that participated. We're always left with 15 people that
Mm.
a bit disappointed about how they did, but it's a great competition to be a part of. I thank everyone for participating, because if you didn't participate, we couldn't have done this. And by the nature of it, half the people need to be a first round elimination, which never feels good. I was one of those, but I do want to thank everyone for participating. I want to thank you for being in the booth and helping out with all the commentary, because I think that adds the extra component of this, to have that commentary, those thoughts as we kind of go through all these matchups. And also, a thanks to the viewers.
Hmm.
We obviously wouldn't do this if we didn't have the viewers, the people asking about this. I love to hear the feedback if people liked MaREC Madness. Those are the things that keep this going and bring us back for 2027. So if you enjoyed, like the videos, comment on the videos, let me know, send us tweets, whatever it may be. We love to hear feedback about all these things. So make your voice heard.
That's right. And of course, if you want to find out some ways to help out what we're doing, just go to rec.poker/support. There's a bunch of ways that we could really benefit from some likes, some subscribes, some shares. And of course, it'd be great if you bought us a cup of coffee. Of course, our number one way for you to help out what we're doing here is to become a premium member. For only $22 a month, you can get involved with all of our fantastic learning opportunities and training material here at Rec Poker. And of course, in case you don't know, if you make a donation to your local food bank of any amount, even $1, just send us an email with a receipt, and we'll happily give you your first month of Rec Poker Premium membership for free. Because that's just the kind of people that we like to attract around here. The kind of people like Taylor Moss. I'll do a little thank you as well, and then we'll roll on out of here. Taylor, I'm so impressed that you put this together every year. People don't know the amount of work that goes into the logistics of running this, producing the stream, arranging the matches, having all the structures set up. It really is a lot of work, and I'm so proud to be on your team and to have you as part of our group here. So thanks again, and I'm already looking forward to next year.
Yeah, should be a good one.
All right, folks. Well, get out there, sign up for a free account at Rec.Poker today, and keep loving poker. We'll see you next year in MaREC Madness. Good night, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.